Hi everyone, welcome back to my lab. As you saw in the thumbnail, I bought all the things and I wanted to play a little bit with some new products to my collection. I've been doing a lot of eyeshadow palette reviews and I'm a little bit fatigued with those, so I wanted to do something a little bit different. This is going to be a try-on haul. Let me know what you think of this video idea, or if you prefer a regular haul with a haul update, or if both are good. Let me know your thoughts down below. Now let's go ahead and play with some new makeup. I didn't have anything new for my brows, so I went ahead and I did my brows before beginning. The first item I have is a primer. This is the Flower Beauty Supernova Celestial Skin Elixir, and this is it's very hard to read because of the packaging. It is a perfecting oil, ultra light texture, smoothing and brightening effect. It says you can apply it underneath your makeup as a primer or just as a regular skincare product. It says apply to clean face before moisturize. Add to your foundation to boost makeup results, and extend wear. Use alone for natural brightener, naturally brighter complexion. It's super hard to read because of the packaging. Now this appears to have glitter inside, which is interesting. I'm gonna use it as a primer, and I guess I should do the right thing and apply it only to half of my face. It has this dropper, and when I look at the product, it does appear to have glitter in it, just some sort of sheen. So I'm going to apply it to half my face so I can see if there's any difference in the way my makeup applies over it. I'm also using a new foundation. If I didn't have a new foundation to use, I would apply it all over my skin, but I figured this would be better. It feels really good. It smells like an oil. It feels good, feels really hydrating. I may have applied too much. My hands still have some on there, so I'm just gonna get rid of the excess. Probably one dropper is enough for your whole face. My skin definitely looks more hydrated on that side. I actually did have a little bit of oil on my skin already. I had some of the Drunk Elephant Virgin Marula oil, but that was what I applied with my skincare earlier. The foundation I'm going to be using today is the Bare Minerals Complexion Rescue Hydrating Foundation Stick. I've heard a lot about this. I've heard that it is really creamy, really good for dry skin, light coverage. I love the convenience of a stick foundation, but oftentimes they're a little bit too dry for my dry skin, and so we shall see. I did pick up mine in the shade Ginger. I'm just gonna go ahead and swipe it on. Oh, it feels so creamy. And this looks like an excellent match. Even the side of my face that doesn't have oil, it seems to tug a little bit more, but it's still creamy. Wow. Well, let's start with this much. I'm going to blend it out with my Marc Jacobs brush. This is the Face 1 brush, and I'm just going to sort of tap and blend a little. Blending out so quickly. Wow. Of course, this is the side that has oil on it, so we'll see if it blends out as easily on the other side. This is a really soft foundation brush. It's not one of those more firm ones, so this definitely blends very easily because this brush doesn't have a lot of firmness to it. Alright, so now we're going into the side of the face that had no primer, and it's a little harder to blend. I'm having to move my brush a little more, but it's still very creamy and really easy to blend. Also, this is a great shade match for me. It looks really good. I picked up the shade Ginger. It's number 6. I think from here on out, whenever I order foundations online from Sephora, I'm going to use this as my closest matching foundation. It used to be the Fenty Beauty one, and then it was the Beauty Blender one that was closely matching my skin tone, but this is super close. So let's assess the situation here. I would say that this is a very good light to medium coverage foundation. I do prefer it on top of the Flower Beauty Skin Elixir. I'm going to add a little bit more. I feel like the coverage remained a lot more here. On this side, it kind of moved around, so I'm going to add a little bit more in the areas where I prefer more coverage. And those areas are definitely more pronounced on the side with no primer. Just a little bit here. So I'm using kind of dabbing motions, and it is blending right in. I love that. It looks so pretty. I don't know if it's showing up on camera, but it definitely looks luminous. It's dewy, even on the side without the primer, but I think it's a little more so on this side naturally. I really like it. I'm really impressed with this so far. I definitely have to play with it some more, but so far, I really like it. It doesn't feel sticky, but I wouldn't say that it's 100% set. Let's go on to concealer. I picked this one up from Sephora. This is the Giorgio Armani High Coverage Stretchable Concealer. It's the Power Fabric one, and I grabbed the shade 4.5. I've heard a lot of really great things about this concealer. Here's your packaging. Very nice, clean lines on the packaging. I like that it doesn't have like a brand all over it, just the logo, and looks good. Let's see how this shade works out. I did pick this up in store, so I'm hoping I did a good shade match. It has a slight kind of paint smell, but nothing too bad. Okay, so one dip of the wand was enough for me to do both eyes. At least I think so. I haven't started blending yet. I'm going to blend with an Eco Tool sponge. Blending very nicely. It looks like it's a little bit more coverage than my foundation. Like the coverage level is a little heavier. So I don't think that I would necessarily pair these two together, but it looks like a nice concealer. Pretty good, pretty good. I'm going to use a concealer brush just to blend the inner corner here. It's always very hard for me to reach my inner corner with a sponge. I have really deep set eyes. I don't have a new powder, so I'm going to go in with the Huda Beauty powder. I've really been enjoying this powder for my under eyes. Now that I've applied powder to my under eyes, I have to say the concealer looks quite dry, and I don't think it's the powder because I've used this powder with different concealers and I like the way it looks. It definitely looks a little bit dry as well compared to the rest of my skin that's so dewy, but let's keep going. I picked up the Naked Reloaded palette. Why did I pick up the Naked Reloaded palette? Completion, I guess. I have all the other Naked palettes and I really wanted this one. I like the feel of it in my hand. I wasn't gonna order it. If I hadn't gone in the store, I wouldn't have bought it because just looking at the shades, you can see that they are shades that we have in other palettes. It's definitely dupable. There's been many videos going around about its similarities with the Sultry palette, and I think the Sultry palette may be even a little bit more intense, but I just love the way this feels in my hand. It's like, I don't know, it feels really good in my hand. I like the fabric covering. It just looks really pretty. I don't know, I kind of dig this, so I want to try it. It's definitely going to be an everyday makeup look, and that's fine. I'm going to be using some new brushes. So I have a bunch of Royal and Langnickel brushes. This is the Omnia BOM line, and I have quite a few. This one is gigantic. Maybe I'll use this one to set my lid or something like that. I purchased them from the Royal and Langnickel website, and they came in these cellophane packages with the label. I did pick up from the Natural Hair line, but they do have vegan brushes as well, and now they have even a new Pro line. They were having a sale and I picked these up. I love the way they look. They're very pretty. The handles are kind of soft matte and they're very, very long. So I would have to say these are probably amongst the longest handle brushes. So for comparison, here's a Wayne Goss brush, so you can see it goes to about there. So these are a lot longer, and I do like the shapes that they have. I've already washed them and they wash really, really well. This one in particular, this one is the BOM 43. It reminds me a great deal in the shape to the Smith 235. It just sort of has that arrow shape. Very similar shape there. And yeah, we're gonna create our look using these brushes. I am going to use this little sample of the Urban Decay Primer Potion as my base. This is not new, just a sample I had laying around. Right, let's set that down with the shade Blur. This palette seems a lot more powdery than my other Naked palettes. When I dip my brush, I definitely get a little bit of kickback. Usually my other Naked palettes, they're a little bit more firmly pressed. Since it's reloaded, they may be experimenting with the formula. So I have a very warm toned lipstick, so I want to do a warm tone neutral look. I'm dipping into the shade Boundaries, and I'm going to use that as a transition shade. It looked to be matte, but it's got a little bit of a sheen to it, so maybe it's more of a satin finish. These handles are really long. I keep hitting my palette with them. If I had my vanity mirror, which is what I would be using if I wasn't filming, I wouldn't be having that problem. So that's perfectly fine. I find them really beautiful, actually. I also want to run that shade on my lower lash line, but I need a smaller brush. So I'm going to try this one, BOM 46. and the same boundary shade, but I'm applying it underneath my lash line. My concealer is creasing, which is typical. I mean, I have very crepey under eyes, but with the way that this concealer is getting such great reviews, I was hoping that it would be a little bit better, but you know, we all have different preferences. I do have a tendency to smoke out my lower lash line to disguise both my dark circles and my under eye wrinkles anyway, so that's gonna help the concealer look a little bit better. Again, this is a super soft brush, and I don't know if you can see in my palette, but I have quite a bit of kick up. That doesn't really bother me, but it surprises me for Urban Decay. Next, I'm going into the shade Endgame, which is the deepest shade in the palette, and I'm going to use that on my outer part of my lid. And I just very lightly tapped my brush in there, and I'm using the side of the brush to lay the color down. And once all that has been mostly deposited, then I'm going to go ahead and slightly bring it into my crease. I'm going to also apply that shade into my lash line. And I'm going to deepen it just a little bit right on the outside. Now from the swatches, I already know the shade Angel Fire as well as Dreamweaver. They're more of topper shades, honestly. So I'm going to apply the shade Barely Baked. The only sort of shader brush I got was the BOM 40, and this one is a little bit big, but we'll see how it turns out. I'm using the shade Barely Baked. It's not very intense when applying it with the brush, so I'm going to apply it with my finger. And that gives it a much better effect. And I'm going to use the shade Boundaries just to blend out the edges a little. I did also pick up the Anastasia Dewy set. I want to use this to dampen my brush as well as on my face, but I saw the whole display. It was so pretty. The loose highlighters were especially appealing just because the packaging was so glittery and they look so pretty next to each other. But I have some loose highlighters already and I don't use them that frequently, so I decided to hold off or pass on those for now, and I picked up the Dewy set. Now the glitter that you're seeing is on the package. I don't think that the product itself has any glitter. I just want to dampen my brush a little bit and see if I can get better payoff from that shade. The mist on that is really nice. This is a Goss 07 brush. I guess after trying out those Colored Rain metallics, this seems a little subdued. So now I'm going into the shade Bribe, and I'm using that to highlight my brow bone. I have this brow pencil. It's a brow definer, but I'm going to use it to line my lids. Alright, so I'm going to put that guy aside for now and move on to my face. I'm going to be contouring with this MAC palette. It's the Studio Fix Sculpt and Shape Contour Palette. Now, I thought I was over contour palettes, but I saw this one pop up on so many people's favorite videos that I wanted to give it a try. Here's what the powders look like. They are a few contours and some highlight shades from MAC's existing Pro line. Maybe I can try this brush for contouring. I'm going to use a combination of those two shades. This palette does come in a darker tone as well, so you have some options. Just from looking at the palette, I honestly think I can use the three contours pretty interchangeably. There's not that much difference between the three. This one on the outside is a little bit more peachy tone, I guess. So I am getting a nice contour, but my powders are sticking a little, and that could very well be because I did not set my foundation. So I'm going to do that with a little bit of this Charlotte Tilbury powder, and I'm going to use my Sonia G Face Pro brush. I have quite a bit of powder, so I'm sort of spreading that out on the lid. And I'm just going to apply it in the areas where I'm going to be applying more powder because I like the finish of the foundation so much, I don't want to disrupt it. The last brush I have not used is this one, the BOM 45. I'll list these all in the description box down below. So I'm going to use this one for a little bit of nose contour. This is the only brush that I've had that shedding from. Now we're gonna move on to bronzer, and I want to use the Cheek Leaders palette for that. I wasn't gonna buy this. I really wasn't. But Benefit was having a gift with purchase, and then I was also in store and I was playing with these, and there was a really nice highlighter in here. The highlighter that I'm referring to is this one right here. It's in the shade Cookie, and it's supposed to be exclusive to these palettes, and it just swatches so nicely. Now, it does come in a smaller palette, but I wanted to try this Hoola Caramel. Hoola works okay for my skin tone, but it is a little bit on the lighter side, so I wanted to try Hoola Caramel, and that's already $30 and $30. Anyway, you can only get Cookie inside the palette, so I went ahead and picked this up. So I'm going to bronze first, and I'm picking up Caramel, and I'm going to start up here because in case I overdo it, I can hide that with my bangs. That's the plan. Okay, this is blending nicely. Definitely warm toned, but it's blending nicely over the foundation. I'm glad that I set it a little bit. The other shades that come in the palette are Hoola, I mentioned, and then Gold Rush. Gold Rush, I don't think that's gonna do anything to me, maybe to make a luminous blush, like as a blush topper, but when did that become a makeup item, you know? Oh, I need to buy a blush topper. Not really. I do think that Coralista will work, but that's not the one I want to apply on my skin tone today. I have a blush palette I want to play with, so I think it's about time Benefit came out with deeper shades of Hoola. Like they had Hoola and then they did Hoola Light. So these were long overdue in my opinion. I'm gonna go ahead and apply my highlighter first. So I'm dipping into Cookie. This is a crazy intense highlighter. That is applied completely dry. So I mentioned I got gifts with purchase. They did have like little mini Benefit Roller Lash Mascara. I really like that mascara, so that was nice. But I also got this. It's a really cute tumbler. Look how cute it is. It says Good Brow Day. And it comes with a straw. How cute is that? I like that. They also had this from Lipstick Queen. Like this wasn't specific to Benefit. You just had to spend I think like $30 and you would get this item. It's a little makeup bag. It says apply lipstick and take on the world. Super cute. And inside there's two little Lipstick Queen products. One is Mauve Sinner from the Sinner collection, I guess. And the other one is a gloss in the shade Time Warp. So two little minis, that's nice. So I bought that Cheek Leader palette and I got a couple of freebies. That's always nice. And this is really cute. I'm going to be using my little tumbler in my channel. I love straws, but my daughter doesn't like it when I buy them. Obviously, thinking about the environment. And so this one is reusable, so that will be nice. So the blush palette I want to use is this one from NARS. This is the NARS Exposed Cheek Palette. And I honestly have no business buying this because I have the Holiday palette, which I have not used yet. But I really like NARS cheek products, and this packaging is so beautiful. It's definitely spring. It looks like water, and it's just so cute. I had to have that. When you open it up, you do have 6 cheek product shades, pretty much 5 blushes, 1 highlight. So I have to pick a good blush today. I'm going to use a corally lip color, so I think I'm gonna go into this shade actually. So these powders are pretty firmly pressed. They're that baked gelée kind of formula. And so I do swirl my brush in there quite a bit. And now that I have all my face products applied, I'm gonna try a little bit of this. Has a very light resort kind of fragrance. I like it. Not too strong. It's not as strong as the MAC, like Coconut Scented Fix Plus, but it's kind of along that vibe. Sorry, my camera died, but I did mention that I picked up a new lash primer, which I'm wearing right now. It's the Base Mascara Perfecto from Givenchy. Usually I just use the one by MAC, and that serves me fine, honestly, but I guess I was feeling fancy that day and wanted to try something like this. and the wand is really thick. I've already applied it to my lashes, which is why they look white, but you can see on the wand it's quite heavily coated with product and it's a little clumpy. I'm missing my MAC lash primer right now, but we'll see once I apply the mascara and see how that goes. So the mascara I'll be using is new as well. It's the Pretty Vulgar, and this mascara is the Faux Reals mascara. It's in number 149. It's just a little sample size guide that I got as a beauty perk from Sephora, and it's got an hourglass brush applicator. It's a new mascara to the Pretty Vulgar line, so I'm excited to try it out in the mini size, although several vloggers that I watch have commented that the mini sizes are not always reflective of the full size. And I'm beginning to think that's true because I tried the Milk Kush mascara and I don't like it that much, but I had a mini, so maybe the full size is different. This is coating my lashes really well. You can see it's getting rid of that white that I had. I like it. The last mascara that made an impression on me, this doesn't compare to that, by the way, was the Stila mascara in the gold bottle. Oh my goodness, I love that mascara. It gives me volume and length and separation. I really, really like that mascara. I think it's super underrated. That's pretty good. Now I'm gonna apply it to my bottom lashes, but honestly, I like my MAC mascara for my bottom lashes. It's really thin. I still prefer the Stila, but it was good to try it out. And again, I don't know if it's the primer. I'll have to try it one day without primer, but so far it's just okay. Now for my lip product, I have one from Bobbi Brown. This one is the Crushed Liquid Lip, and I got the shade Mango Mood. I told you I had like a bright summery kind of color. Here's what it looks like. I've heard really good things about this formula, and so I wanted to try it out. It smells good, it smells sweet. Interesting applicator. It's kind of shaped like a boot. The formula smells good too. That feels really comfortable and hydrating. That was just one dip of the applicator. It feels super, super comfortable. I'm going to apply a little bit more just to see if I can get a little bit more intensity. Color is a little bit sheer. What a pretty color for spring, right? Alright, so that's all the products that I had to play with today, and this is the finished look. I'm going to finish my hair. I'm going to fix my hair a little bit, and then I'll come back and let you know what I thought about the products. Alright, so now that we've had a little bit of makeup playtime, let's go ahead and go over the products that I used today. I'll give you my thoughts. I'm not going to be doing a wear test. I will be wearing it throughout the day, but I'm not going to come back and talk about them. If there's anything that I feel is noteworthy, I'll put in a pinned comment down below. So where to begin? Where to begin? I want to start with the standouts, and if you know what they are, put them in the comment section down below. I'd like to know what you think based on my impressions. The number one item I have to say from what I tried today, it's the Bare Minerals complexion stick. Oh my goodness, this is so nice. It applies so nicely. I loved it more over the primer, but I have to say over everything that I tried today, this made the absolute best impression, and it's really surprising to me because I haven't found so many foundation sticks that I enjoy as much as this one. I mean, I've only worn it one day, but ooh, it made a good impression. I definitely like it better than the Hourglass. It's much more creamy and a lot more easy to blend. However, you get less coverage. So if you're looking for more full coverage, then definitely stick with the Hourglass. But if you prefer light to medium coverage, this is it, especially if you have dry skin. I'm not so sure how this would do on oily skin because it was pretty slippery even on my skin, but I did put oil on, so, but ooh, this one's good. My next favorite from the products that I tried has to be the Bobbi Brown lipstick. It's such a pretty shade, a crushed liquid lip. I love the applicator. I didn't have to use a lip liner. It's not bleeding outside the lines. It gives you a very nice, sheer, juicy kind of look. Definitely not transfer proof. I can show you my Starbucks cup here for evidence, but it's not transferring horribly, and when it does transfer, it's wearing off sort of naturally, so I like the way it smells. I like the color. It comes in a very nice color range, so I'm sure you can find something that you like, but it just feels so comfortable. It feels like I have a gloss on. Just super, super comfortable, and I love the color. Again, if I didn't mention it, I have the shade Mango Mood. So yeah, this is my second favorite. My third has to be this by Flower Beauty, the Supernova Celestial Skin Elixir. Man, does this make your skin look glowy. It is so pretty, and foundation goes on over it so nicely. I heard about this product from Alice in the Rabbit Hole. She really loves it. She gave it a shining review, and let's call it a glowing review. It's more appropriate. And I have to agree with her. Based on my first impression, I have to try it some more, but wow, this is impressive. And you don't see any of the glitter on your face when you apply it. So if you have dry skin and you love a good glowy primer, this is a good one. Skincare as well, so you don't have to use it as a primer as I did. You could definitely use it as skincare and on those no makeup days. One more product for the favorites, the Benefit palette. Now usually I will advise against purchasing too many of those because they just recycle too many products. I mean, Coralista has been in a palette before, Hoola has definitely been in a palette before, and I think this might be the first time Gold Rush is there, but I don't know. I haven't bought one of these palettes in a while. I think that they're a great value, don't get me wrong, but since I have one, I'm just continuing to use that one, and I really enjoy it. I find it to be good quality, but I don't need to keep buying these over and over and over again when they repeat shades. So based on the price, this smells good. I wonder which one of those smells good. I think it's the Gold Rush, but anyway, the Hoola Caramel is very good for someone of my skin tone, and the cookie works really well on my skin tone as well, but I think that if you have a deeper skin tone, it may be a bit much. Maybe if you apply it damp, it would blend in really, really nicely. So it's interesting that it was included in this palette because the other shade, was it Tickle? I don't know, the other palette had a different highlighter and that one was darker. So I think that since this one had Hoola Caramel, this one should have had the darker highlight, but that's just my opinion. All of the other products work fine. I don't see myself getting much use out of Gold Rush, but if I were to pay full price for these two products, it would make up the amount I paid for the palette, and for that reason, it is a win and a recommend. Plus, I got some free gifts. Now let's go through some products that I think are maybe not worth the money or not worth the time. It's really just one. The others I'm just sort of okay with. The one product that at this point I do not recommend you spend so much money on a lash primer. I mean, it works fine. It definitely lengthened and primed my lashes, but the one I have by MAC works just fine. It's a lot less expensive and a lot less clumpy, so I would pass on this one, honestly. I'm going to use it since I bought it, and it does work, so I'm going to use it, but so far I'm not impressed, honestly. After that, a product that I'm kind of on the fence about is this concealer, which surprised me. I love the packaging. The packaging is so pretty, but I did find it a little bit dry under my eyes. Let me see how it's looking. Honestly, it's looking okay. I still find it a little bit dry. I have to try it with maybe a different powder. Maybe that would go well, or maybe I don't need to set it. I have to play with this one a little bit more, so I'm still on the fence. But right now, I'm a little disappointed. I was expecting like this to be the absolute best thing ever. I have to try it a little more. So the case is not closed on this one. I will definitely update you in a haul update after I've tried it in different combinations with different makeup items. Now, products that I thought were just fine. The contour kit is just fine. I like that. I mean, it works fine, but I don't think that it's as revolutionary as everybody claimed. I think that a lot of the people that put this in their favorites, they received it in PR, and I guess it may be kind of hard to strike a balance when you don't actually pay for an item to really establish what it's worth to you. And to me, I think it's just fine, but it's not accomplishing anything that any of my other contour kits would. And I still love the Natasha Denona Sculpt and Glow palette, the absolute best. So this is a good palette if you need one. It comes in two different shades. So you have one for lighter skin tones, one for deeper skin tones. So you have good options and it's a good palette. But is it revolutionary? Not really. The Naked palette, it's a Naked palette. A lot of people, they either love it or hate it. I think it's a pretty palette. I like the look that I came up with, but I was wanting a little more. I guess once I start doing my makeup, I want more. I want for the extravagant look. Even though I knew I was going to be wearing a bright lip, it would have been nice to have like a really liquid metal kind of lid to brighten up my eyes, but I didn't really accomplish that with this. Is it a nice palette? Yes. Do you need it? Absolutely not. I have the NARS palette. I think that this is one of those things that I'm going to have to be on the fence with because I only applied that one shade and there's a lot more products in here. I do really like and enjoy NARS products, so I would think that this would be no different. I do like the way that it's swatched, and I was able to pick up that product and apply it okay. So far, like this one. The mascara, it's a mini, so take my thoughts with a grain of salt. I think it's okay. It didn't impress me. It definitely won't replace my favorite of the moment, which I have to say is the Stila. Stila mascara in the gold package. Perfection. And lastly, the Dewy set from Anastasia. It's really nice to have a product like this from Anastasia, very new to their line. It does give you a dewy look, but it's not over the top. It's not like my Pixi Beauty Glow Mist, which I love, love, love. That one definitely gives me a glow right away, immediately. This isn't like that, but it's more along the lines of Fix Plus. It sets your makeup, it blends your powders together, gives you a nice glow. I like it, has a nice fragrance. It's not too overpowering either, and the mister is really nice. Kind of looks like the Fix Plus actually a little bit in the way that it twists. But a good product if you need a good setting spray. This one is a good one. If you don't need one, I don't think you necessarily have to go out to get this specific one, but it seems good so far. That's everything for all the products that we played with today. If you have any questions that I didn't answer, leave those for me in the comment section down below, and I will do my best to address your questions as best as I can. Let me know what you think of this kind of video. I think doing a try-on haul is kind of fun because I can give you my first impression and some idea of how the products perform. So if you did enjoy it, don't forget your thumbs up. I really appreciate it. It really motivates me as well. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so and join me for a future video, which should be really, really soon. Thank you again for spending a few minutes of your day with me. I hope you're doing really, really well, and I look forward to seeing you again really, really soon on my next one. Bye-bye.